Okay, there we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome. We are so excited. Happy New Year. Isn't that crazy? We're off to 2021. So, welcome and Happy New Year to each and every one of you. So, my name is Kathy McGhin, and tonight we're going to be talking all about digestion and gut health. Disclaimer though, I'm not a medical professional or a doctor, and I'm not here to give any medical advice, but I am here as a Young Living product user, have been for over 4 years, and just sharing with you stories and testimonies of how I've used these products and how I've learned about a more natural lifestyle that we've brought into my home. And I want to share some of that with you tonight. So we're going to dive right in because I'm going to be really honest with you. We have like, what, 25, 30 minutes. And this is one of those topics that we could totally do several series on this. It is so broad. It just goes out here and there. And so I had to really work on it to condense it down. And I wanted to make it kind of simplified. So that was a little bit of a challenge, but we're going to do this. I'm going to stick mostly to the GI tract and how that can get broken down and make us feel really bad. So there's so many moving parts, but that's what I'm going to focus on tonight. So hopefully you can gather some information tonight and be able to start making some changes tonight and tomorrow to work towards that health and abundance that we're all kicking off the new year with. All right, so let's just hop right in here. Hippocrates said one time that disease started in our gut. And you know what? That is more believed today than it has ever been paid attention to. Why? Because you have doctors, scientists, universities that do all these studies that now are realizing that our gut health and our gut is the center universe of our body. I'm going to refer, I love analogies. That's how I studied when I went through college. I always made little analogies in my mind. So when I took a test, it would spark that little thought process up for me. So I love those kinds of things. So my analogy is going to be, because it's very similar. When I break it down, you're like, oh yeah, it kind of is. So it's kind of like our gut is the motor to our car, right? It is the center part of our car. Everything functions around a good, healthy motor. If we do all the preventative maintenance, we change the oil, we give it good oil, we give it great gas, and we do all those things, then guess what? Our car is going to run like a dream. But if we don't do those things and we're filling it full of all the stuff that it's not supposed to be in there, then over time it's going to start having some little issues in there, and we don't want that to happen. And our gut health is very, very similar to that. So basically, from our esophagus, well, it starts in our mouth, from our mouth to our rectum is our whole process of the GI tract in one way, shape, or form. If you think about it, it really is like a long tube, give or take. It changes sizes along the way with these little valves, opening and closing, letting things from the time that we chew our food, process it, absorb it, and it makes its way down. It's opening little valves, closing as it's going, and it's just moving that thing all the way through till we hit our colon. So basically, it's just having all of these. It's the ENS system, which is a type of nervous system, and it has hundreds of millions of nerve endings that is processing, breaking everything down, processing, and shifting it through each little section. It has little valves that open and close, and when this moves over this way, then now it says, okay, you can move over here, and it just shifts all the way through. Our colon is kind of like our septic tank, if you will. And so when it travels there, we need for everything to start flowing and moving along, because when it doesn't, then things start to, we make good bacteria, we make bad bacteria, and you always want to have more good than bad. But when things start slowing down, guys, that's when we start having issues, and that bad bacteria will start to overtake the good. So that's when our colon goes from a septic tank to like a little bit of a cesspool. And you've seen where water, stagnant water sits and it just sits there and it grows all this stuff. Well, our body system, the GI tract, is kind of the same way. When that starts to build up and back up in there and we get toxins and overloaded there and more bacteria, it just forms this black silver lining. It's kind of like, I'm going to go back to that car analogy. If you went to your tailpipe and you looked at your tailpipe and you see all this gummy smudge on the inner rim of that tailpipe, yuck. Well, that's telling you that your car probably needs an oil change. You probably need to flush, just really needs a good cleaning and adjustment. So our bodies are the exact same way. We definitely need to cleanse that stuff out in order to get it where we are not having that bad bacteria, because that black stuff, in all reality, I'm just going to be honest, that is true. I'm using the analogy of a tailpipe on a car, but that's literally what it does. It gets black and it coats the inner rim as it goes through there and it sticks. And so when we start to eat food, and the good food, your body knows how to break down carbohydrates. It knows how to break down proteins. It knows how to break down fats. But here's what it doesn't know what to do with. We eat processed foods. We eat foods that have preservatives in them. We eat foods that have dyes in them, synthetics in them. We eat foods and that has loaded up chemicals in it that your body really truly doesn't know what to do with, because it was not really made for that to be consumed. So when it goes into the body, it doesn't know what to do with it. So what does it do with it? Nothing. It sits there. And when it sits there, it attaches to this wall and it turns into black sludge there, and that's where it sits. And over time, that's where we start having these physical problems and these ailments and issues that are coming up, because it's just sitting there. And as the longer it sits there, the more it gets more bad bacteria and your immune system starts to go down. The lower the immune system goes down, then guess what? Good bacteria goes down, high bacteria goes up. And at some point, that bad bacteria, which is not what you want to do or happen, that bad bacteria takes over, and then the good bacteria is not the dominant one. And that is when we start really feeling it and getting into trouble. Our gut flora is very important. 80 to 90% of our immune system resides in our gut. That is incredible. When anything happens in my house, I automatically start treating the gut, the GI tract in the gut, because it is connected to all the systems, all of it, everything. And that's what I was saying in the beginning when Hippocrates said that all diseases start in the gut. Now doctors are saying, yes, this is true. Did you know that in 2012, there was 350% increase in people Googling and researching digestion and gut support? Why? Because we have learned in the last 10 years more spotlight that our gut health is the center being of overall wellness and balance to our body. It's just the way it is. Examples of two different scenarios of how you can understand how our gut health is affecting all systems of our body. Because it's very important for us to, if nothing else hinges, I want you to understand that our gut health affects every part of our body. And so it's so important for that to be balanced. Our normal pH in our stomach should be around 7. 6.5 to 7 is like normal. And the old saying is, if your pH is balanced, then guess what? Nothing imbalanced, no other disease, nothing can take root if your stomach pH is balanced. If that is normal, it can't happen. It will not, it can't function there. It can't thrive or live there. So the important thing is to keep your pH healthy and happy, to keep it balanced. The important thing is to keep our good bacteria very high. The higher your immune system, the higher your good bacteria is, the lower your immune system, Unfortunately, the lower your good is and the higher the bad becomes. So two different scenarios. Let's say I wake up this morning and let's say I have some bad bacteria and my stomach is not feeling very well. Okay. I can take an oil and I'm going to rub that oil on my jawline. And then I'm going to rub it on my tummy. So the reason I'm going to rub it on my jawline is because we have lots and lots of lymph nodes in between this thin skin and this jaw right there. The quickest route to our digestive system is your lymphatic system. So if you apply it here first and then rub your tummy, guess what? You have just sped up that process to support your tummy by just applying it here and into those lymph nodes that quickly. So that is one way to understand how connected your digestion and your lymphatic system is connected together. So all of our systems are. So here's a different example to show a different system. So if you're a parent, and a lot of you in here are parents, okay, I'm just going to use this analogy. And let's say our little darling, let's call her little Susie Q, our little darling, we wake up today and she is precious. She is absolutely the best angel in the world. Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of her. That little sweet angel is doing everything. She's giving me hugs. She's doing all the things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that sweet little angel. Yes, you can have this candy, sweetheart. You have earned it. And you know what? We are going to go get that ice cream on the way home and probably add in a little bit of a Happy Meal, that burger and fries, because you have been that sweet little darling. And then we have the best day. And then 24 hours to 48 hours later, I wake up and I'm on the phone with my friend Lisa, and I'm like, oh my God, what happened to Susie Q? She is being a beast. She is all over the place. She's crying, she's combative, she's angry. Oh my God, what have I done? Well, guess what? If I go back and look at what I fed my child 24 to 48 hours earlier, and I look at all those processed foods, all those synthetics, all those dyes, red especially, but all the dyes, all of those sugars, all of those things that our body doesn't see as a natural, and it doesn't know how to break it down. It breaks down carbs, it breaks down proteins, it breaks down your fats. It does not know how to break down dye. It does not know how to break down a preservative. It does not know how to break down an additive. It doesn't know what to do with it. So guess what? It sits there. When that happens, everything slows down. So here's the true connection that's going to really kick it in for you. Our bodies creates, we make enzymes, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, enzymes and all of these things that we need, right? One of the chemical things naturally that our body creates is a little thing called serotonin, okay? Serotonin is a natural chemical that your body produces. It's a neurotransmitter, if you will. And 80 to 90% of that is produced in your gut. Well, actually, it's 90%. We produce that in our tummy. That is serotonin. Do you know what serotonin does for the body? That's what makes us happy. So what's the opposite of happy? Angry, combative, crying, I'm mad at the world. And it doesn't have to be a child. I used a child as an example, but have you just woke up one day and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm just not feeling it today. Don't talk to me. Well, the first thing we might want to look at is our diet. So I want you to understand that, yeah, there can be other things, but our diet and our digestive tract, and that being our flora, having good flow and being healthy, affects every other system of our body, including our lymphatic system, including our emotional imbalance. And I'm going to go over a few things that will probably flag you to say, okay, how do I know I'm in toxic overload? How do I know if my GI tract is in fatigue? Most of us are. because we should be cleansing several times, probably every few months. Most of us do not, okay? This is not something we need to do once or twice a year. And the really great thing about learning more about the GI tract and how oils and supplements can support your body and help with that preventative maintenance, like with the car, is that I don't care if you're young or old, everybody needs the support. They need supplements and they need the support. We do not produce, we have to have enzymes to live. It's just a fact. Without them, there is no life to us. We produce enzymes, but we don't produce enough, not even when we're in our 20s and younger. That's why we give kids supplements as well, because the body produces a certain amount, but we don't produce enough to give the body what it needs. So we have to supplement it with something and give it optimal health. So we've talked about some of the things that causes it to break down, the toxin in the diet, the processed foods, all of those things. Sugar's really bad. So let's talk about some ways, all of those things that build up in time. So let's talk about what are some signs of the fatigue, distress in our GI tract. So regular BMs, we should have a regular BM every single day, 1 to 3 per day, okay? For the most part, I'll be honest with you, you should be having a bowel movement after every single meal. That would be, a doctor would say, praise, that's great. That is if your gut is perfectly just in sync with itself. So that's the goal, is to get to 2 to 3 times per day. But you should at least be having a bowel movement each and every day, okay? If you're not having one every single day, that would be a flag. The second flag is when you have a bowel movement, there should not be any foul odor. If there is, that means it is picking up bad bacteria through that tract, and that is your one sign that, okay, I need to reset my body. The second part of that is going to be, we all have gas buildup as part of our process. Remember, we talked about the nervous system and how that helps it, all those 100 millions of nerve endings that processes it through that little tract. So as it's moving through, it's going to have gas and it pushes through. Here's the thing, when you have gas, it should be totally odorless. If it's not, that is a sign that is picking up bad bacteria and releasing it. And when that happens, you're like, okay, I need to give a little support to my GI tract because I think I might be in a little bit of fatigue. So some other things just to kind of let you know, if you wake up with really bad breath, if you have a body odor that won't go away, if you have hormone imbalance, if you have chronic bladder infections, if you have high cholesterol, all of those things, if you have excessive bloating after meals, if you have skin issues, if you have rash, if you have acne, all of those things, yes, can be a sign that you need to get your gut in check. Because that's the first thing that doctors now are learning, that if that is stable and balanced, if that is not overloaded with toxins, then the rest of it will go away. It creates the other problems, if you will, that you're having. So let's take the hormone imbalance, for instance. If it's creating the hormone imbalance, then you can try to regulate your hormones all day long, but you have to get gut health first. So it's kind of like you can't fix the problem unless you get really to the root of the problem and where it's coming from. All right, so I'm going to talk about a few natural things that we can do that's not Young Living products or supplements that you can start doing tonight or tomorrow that will help your body gain that. But I do recommend a cleanse. And I don't know if you are all already Young Living users. If you are, most of you may have a pocket reference. There is a cleanse in that book. It's called the Stanley Burroughs cleanse. It's a really good one. So I would suggest everybody do that cleanse. It's not that difficult. I will tell you, the very first time that I did this cleanse, it's just taking fresh lemons, squeezing fresh lemons, you put water in it, and it's a pinch, just a pinch, guys, of cayenne pepper, because cayenne pepper helps with inflammation in the gut. You take a pinch of that, And it's like if you start at noon, you'll end at noon the next day. Drink lots and lots of water. The first time I did it, I probably had not gotten down the first glass of that drink, and I had a severe headache. And when I went back and read it, it said that was one of the effects that you were going to have because the toxins were starting, it was starting to be effective. It doesn't do that as much now, but just know that if that happens to you, that's okay. It's totally all right. It's normal. So when we're trying to reset, that's the first thing that I think of is to do a cleanse. And that's one that you can easily do without anything else. Now I'll add lemon and things like lemon oil in mine now. All right, so here's a couple of things naturally we can do. First of all, I haven't had any antibiotics since I have started the lifestyle choices, natural lifestyle choices, and have Young Living in my home. But just know that when you take an antibiotic, it just kills all the good bacteria, period. So you definitely want to be mindful of that and not do it very often for sure and for long levels of time. Avoid eating some sugars. Avoid eating sugar because it is so bad. Why? Because it holds inflammation and mucus in the body. And so it lowers that immune system. Once the immune system goes down, guess what? Bad bacteria goes up. It's like an opportunity knocking. So the bad bacteria goes up, inflammation, and it holds on to it. And once we get inflammation in the body, there are certain other physical imbalances and diseases that loves it. And so it just runs to it and holds on to it because it's giving it a foundation of growth of something bad, something to break down in your body. And so sugar is not a good thing. So I usually try not to eat a whole lot of sugar. And this is why this class is so amazing to do now, because I don't know about y'all, but I ate in November and December stuff that I know I don't normally eat. And I can feel it. My body feels it. And so, in fact, I did do a cleanse the other day, just trying to, the cleanse that I just talked about, trying to get some of this back out. All right. So lowering your stress level is critical because we don't even think about it. We've all been through stress at some point. We get stressed out, and guess what? You get that feeling, that twinge in your tummy. You get kind of nauseated or you hurt and you're just so stressed out. You break out in a sweat. It's because those nerve endings is connected together. It's incredible, but that puts our adrenals in overload. When your adrenals go in overload, that means your nervous system goes in overload. And when the nervous system goes in overload, guess what? Your immune system just tanked. Everything just slowed down. So when you try to process that food that you just ate, even the healthy stuff, guess what? It's slowing down. It can't hardly do it. It doesn't know how to break it down. It's traveling really sluggish through there, just like a car. It's just, something's not working here. And everything starts to get backed up just from having stress. So it is important to use those emotional blends, use those oils that can help us with that, as well as meditate, exercise, all the things. Lisa did a great, I'm going to mention it twice, but Lisa did a great video today in our Savvy group about frankincense and how to use that oil to help with emotions. And it was a really great one. If you haven't seen it, you need to go check it out. All right, adding fermented foods into our diet is an excellent way to naturally help our system. So guess what? Those fermented foods helps to get rid of the bad bacteria. It gives you the good kind of bacteria. And we want to overtake that bad bacteria. We don't want bad to be the dominant one in our gut, right? So some of the foods, apple cider vinegar is probably the one that most people take a shot of each and every day. If you don't like the smell or you don't like the taste, throw it in some water, disguise it in something. It's really good for you. Sauerkraut is another, kombucha is another, yogurt is really, really great. And one that a lot of people don't realize, and that is soy sauce. Soy sauce is a fermented food, and you can add it as seasonings into your food, and that's a way to kind of incorporate it in there. All right. So we've talked about a little bit about the process of why the food and how important that our gut, if it turns into a gut fatigue, bad bacteria, whatever, is important. So now let's talk about some of the products that is going to support your body and help you with preventative as well as some of the supplements. I think of my oils like this. Some of these oils that I'm going to mention, I think of them in the immediate moment is helping me in that moment to feel better, right? My supplements are a long-term support to my health and wellness overall. So just think of the oils and about 4 or 5 of these oils that I'm about to mention are in your starter kit. So if you've just gotten your kit, or maybe you haven't gotten your starter kit yet, then guess what? 4 or 5 of the oils that I'm about to talk about are in your kits. So that's pretty cool too. I'm going to run through the oils really quick, and then we're going to talk about supplements. The really great thing about, we're doing a supplements class that's divided up into two because y'all, there is so much information and so many different ways I could have went with this. And I could have gotten really deep, but I wanted to give you a basic understanding and concept of some supplements and oils, but we are going to dive into these supplements a little bit deeper in classes in the next few weeks. So, all right. So one of the first oils that I want to talk about, I love this oil. I put it in my water, and that is peppermint. Peppermint helps to soothe and gives you good digestive support. Okay. Digest is another one. Remember the story I talked about? If I wake up and I feel like my tummy is not feeling its best, I'm going to take Digest. I'm going to put it on my jawline first. Then I'm going to rub my tummy. If you have not tried that, then I highly suggest that you do. You have so many lymph nodes there, and that lymphatic system is going to help quickly get it to your tummy. Lemon. Lemon, I know friends that have used lemon in their water, and by doing that alone and not doing anything else has helped them to get off of those over-the-counter medicines that they were using for any of the things when they have acid reflux and all of those things, just by putting lemon in their water. One, it's a great agent for tummy support, but also it's a great detoxifier as well. So lemon is very good. This is one I use for a lot of different things, guys, but citrus fresh is really important here. I put it in my smoothies. I put it in my water as well. Why? Because it is one that actually brings balance of your acid in your tummy. Remember when we talked about the pH balance staying normal, and if it stays normal, nothing bad can take root. Citrus fresh helps to keep that acidity level at a normal balance. So I would definitely add that in. Spearmint, I'm going to talk about spearmint. It's very similar to peppermint, but if you're someone, a lot of people don't like the taste of peppermint, which I would say put it in a capsule, just like Digest. You can put Digest in a capsule and take it at each and after every meal to help with all that bloating and just for a process, because why? It helps you to absorb, process, break down, and get that stuff moving on through like it's supposed to. So it's just a really great support for the body. Spearmint, it does the very same thing pretty much that peppermint does. It just is not as strong. So if someone is using, they might opt for spearmint over peppermint. I personally love peppermint. Frankincense, I touched on that a little bit. Lisa, if you haven't seen it, go watch her video. But frankincense is really great, and I'm including frankincense. It does have some digestive support, but more importantly, it has emotional support, stress load support. And that is important because remember about when we make serotonin, 90% of that is made in our gut, and that is what makes us happy. Also stress, the higher the stress, the higher the bad bacteria, because our immune system just tanked. So we want to keep our nerves in check. So frankincense is a great one for that. Just a couple others, fennel, tangerine, ginger, all are excellent for tummy support. I would probably say tangerine is probably the unsung hero. It does not get talked about a lot. I use it a lot. It's not very expensive, but it is a powerhouse for an immune booster. So if you haven't put that one on your wish list, I highly recommend it. I don't ever go without that one. It's just not one that we talk about a lot, but it is really, really good. It also helps with circulation, and it has a lot of digestive support as well. The only other one that I wanted to talk about, and even though I knew I wasn't going to have time to really dive in to the gallbladder and the liver, and that is so needed, but I knew I wouldn't have time to do that tonight, but I did want to touch on Juva Cleanse because our liver is such an important organ in the digestive tract and system, and JuvaClean helps to cleanse the liver and the lymphatic system. So I would recommend putting that one on a wish list and getting it in, and ever so often doing that just to give your liver and your lymphatic system a flush. All right, so let's talk about supplements really quick. The first thing I'm going to tell you is Ninja Red. We just did a 30-day challenge in our group. For a lot of people, I have some in my downline that had never done it before, and they were just singing its praises. I have used it from day one. The very first packet that I had, you get 2 packets in your kit. When I took those 2 packets, I was like, I have to have this. And so I have not been without it. And guys, I would totally do a yard sale every week if that's what it took to keep my Ninja Red in. That is one thing I will not go without. I will sell whatever. It's going to be in my house. And here's the thing, it helps everything stay flowing like it should. Another little fact about Young Living's Ninja Red. It is the one supplement that is on the market for sale today that has the highest antioxidant level for purchase. So with that, why would we want anything else? It is incredible. So Ninja Red is one of the first things that I would add into trying to get yourself out of digestive GI tract fatigue or toxin overload. All right. So we talked about the cleanse that Gary Young talked about. They talk about in your pocket reference. That's just natural lemons, cayenne pepper, a little pinch of cayenne pepper, and water. There is also the trio cleanse, the cleansing trio that Young Living has. I'm going to touch base on it. It stays out of stock a lot. I'm not going to lie to you. Why? Because it is very, very popular. It has essential enzymes in it. It has ICP in it, and it has comfort tone. Essential enzymes basically is, remember I said we could not function or live without enzymes. Our body makes enzymes, but we don't make enough of it. Even when we're in our 20s, we don't make enough of it. But after 40, we certainly, about 35 to 40 is starting to really slow down. So we need to incorporate that back as a supplement to make sure we're at optimum health and we're functioning at good speed. So essential enzymes is just that. It lowers stomach acid if that's needed. And it's just a broad spectrum enzyme, and it's part of that trio. The ICP is kind of like a laxative, softens things up, and your comfort tone is going to help you move it out. Okay. The 3 of those are really amazing. So if you want to do that cleansing, it's just a really deep cleansing, helps to soothe the gut, cleans you out, and just resets you. Because here's the thing, I recommend everyone do a cleanse, whether it be the lemon with the cayenne pepper, or whether you want to go a little further and do one like this. And the reason I say that, if you don't flush out, remember that black lining that I talked about that gets in there and it's just sitting on the edges, all the good stuff can flow through, but that's not going anywhere until you do a cleanse. It sits there, and the longer it sits there, then over time, that is just toxins and bad stuff. And guess what? Over time, that is when the body starts to break down and something is going on. So it's better to get it out of there. And once it's flushed out, then when you start with a good diet, your exercise, trying to avoid all the toxins as much as possible. It's hard to avoid everything, obviously. But then when you start your cleanse routine, then you can do this every 3 to 4 months or so, and you're on your way, because about the time it's starting to build up, you're getting rid of it. All right. So Essential Enzymes 4 is another great supplement. And I would say if you're confused and you're looking at me and you're like, oh my gosh, Kathy, I have no idea where to start, then I would say don't stress. You have the few oils that I talked about in your starter kit. Those are oils that I would say that we keep on regular hand. They're there just to support you. Get your Ninja Red and get your Essential Enzymes 4. Okay, because Essential Enzymes 4, when you don't know what else to take, that's the one to take. It comes in a blister pack. You're going to take 1 blister pack in the morning or whatever your largest meal, your 2 largest meals of the day. And it is loaded of vitamins, minerals, all the good things. Antioxidants are in that. So if you don't know where else to start, that's the one to start with, and add your Ninja Red in there. I promise you, you will not regret it. I'm going to talk briefly about detoxzymes. Detoxzymes is definitely one that if you've got environmental allergies like to trees and grass and things like that, this one is a very strong detox type supplement. So you probably would want to add that in there. And one that I would probably add on my wish list is Omega Gize. Omega Gize is definitely, because it's the 3 core fatty acids, it has vitamin D3 and CoQ10 in it. And it's really good for our immune health, brain health, heart health, all the things to just support overall wellness to the body. And last but not least, I want to talk about multigreens, because let's face it, we don't get enough of all the things, like I said, in our diet, and multigreens is definitely one that we want to take in each and every day as a supplement, because these are supplementing our bodies, because we do not take in the right fruits and vegetables on enough, even when we're eating a lot of that. We need to be eating as raw a vegetable as we can get, not cooking it as much as if we possibly can, and eating lots of fruits and vegetables. And green vegetables are definitely yummy for you, but as close to not cooked. We're from the South. I'm from the South. I was taught to cook it to death. It's supposed to be tender, right? But now I realize that there are some things, if you can eat it raw or just slightly cook it, that is much better, because you're going to get the most nutrients from that, and your body is going to be ever so thankful. And then there is alkaline. Alkaline is just, we talked about that pH balance, and it is definitely one that can help with pH balance. So, all right, guys, I've run over just a few minutes. I tried to squeeze it all in. I hope if you have any questions, I know Lisa's probably been monitoring the little chat session over there. I hope this has been helpful. I'm so glad that you all were here tonight. We do these every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. We change the topic, give a lot of good information. We have a lot of fun. So with that, I'm going to toss it back to Lisa.